everyone, thanks for joining. I'm Catherine Sherry with HD Reach, and with me today is Alease Barnes. She was part of our Ask the Experts panel at our education event on May 15th. Unfortunately, if you were there, you saw that we ran out of time and didn't get a chance to ask all of our questions to our panelists. So that's why we're here today. So without further ado, Alease, we had two questions for you, and I'm going to read them off my paper. The first one, if Roe is overturned, what impact might that have on IVF services?
Unfortunately, it could have a really big impact on IVF and fertility treatment in general. It will really come down to what laws each state put in place. So if states like Texas, Mississippi, Louisiana are more likely to put in laws that say that life begins at conception. So for us, when we create an embryo, even though it's 2 days old, that is considered life in those states. And we may have issues with discarding embryos, even allowing PGT-M testing that would test for Huntington's. They may have guidelines on how many embryos you can freeze, thawing embryos, how many eggs can be fertilized. The list kind of goes on. It would have a very big impact on IVF and fertility treatments. It's just we don't quite know yet what those guidelines will be and the laws that we put into place. And again, it will depend on each individual state.
All right, so it's something we definitely need to stay tuned and hear more about as things develop. And then our next question is, what should I look for in a fertility clinic? And what questions should I ask to know if it's the right fit?
Well, first you want to find a physician that you're comfortable with. There are lots of resources out there to rate physicians, see reviews, and all of that sort of thing. You are going to be going to the clinic fairly often. So you want to make sure that it's either driving distance or you're comfortable with driving, a long period of time if you're going to go a little bit further away. So that's something to keep in mind. And then when you go to the clinic for your first consult, you want to ask them, have you seen patients like me? Have you seen patients with HD or a risk for HD? How do you handle those patients? Am I allowed to do, non-disclosure PGT-M testing on my embryos, that sort of thing? You also want to ask about general stats. What are their pregnancy rates? And how is their lab functioning? Are they CAP accredited? All of those sorts of things you do want to bring up in your initial consult just to make sure that they are following recommendations by ASRM and things like that to make sure that they're a good fit and will be able to provide the care that you're looking for.
Two questions, just a quick follow-up. ASRM, can you tell me what that is?
That is the American Society of Reproductive Medicine, and they are kind of a governing body of clinics and physicians and labs that provide recommendations on how labs should be run, how clinics should be run, and it's not required to follow those guidelines, but it's a good thing if a clinic is following those guidelines.
I think you'll be back with us for a webinar later this year, and maybe we'll have more answers then. I think that webinar is taking place in September.
It's September 20th, I believe. Okay. But yeah, we'll be talking all things IVF and Huntington's related to IVF, and we may have some more information specifically from North Carolina about what that will mean for IVF.
Yeah. So thank you so much. These were great questions from our community, and we're so lucky to have your expertise. So thanks for joining us today. Yeah. And I really look forward to hearing more, just more about what you're doing and how folks can get questions answered about family planning in September at our webinar. So thanks everybody for joining in. If you have any other questions, you can always submit them to our website. And thank you, Alease, for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right. Bye, everyone. Take care.